This piece is called I Remember. I remember how cold-blooded America is. This is addressed to my friend in Australia, Cass Comerford. Yes, in many ways, Australia is absolutely superior to America. I know your men are just as brave as ours, if not even more brave. This is to President Joe Biden, the kitty sniffer, and Obama and Bush, who caused the financial crash. It wasn't the Obama phone, it was the Bush phone. Obama just extended it to wireless. It was Bush that encouraged the banks to loan money to people who didn't have any credit or had a history I'm going to use the correct phrase here, and because I have the literary right to, it's called acting like you're nigger rich. You buy a home, and then instead of paying your mortgage, you go out and buy 70-inch televisions and bling, stuff with gold tone pot metal. But I remember what it was like 40 and 50 and 60 years ago. In the last video, I mentioned the fact that my father's mother was one of the first recipients of, since her husband paid in, she received the widow's benefits, $15 a month. That's 50 cents a day for food, and actually provided enough food to keep a person alive and healthy. Enough bread and bacon and eggs and tea and sugar and flour to make tea cakes, is what we call those little cookies. But I remember what it was like when I was a kid. It's pretty well recorded in American history that during the 60s, 70s, even going into the 80s, the housewife who was a survivor of some guy who worked himself to death in a factory, like my father. My father died from benzene-induced leukemia because he worked in a factory that made rubber products from out of those plastic pellets and benzene and other. It was a horrible death. It was a common sight to see widow women that were, late 60s, early 70s at most, barely able to pay the taxes if they had a home paid for. And actually in those days you could get a little, clapboard house and paid off in a 15 to 30 year period. If not, you were forced to sell and then forced into some HUD ghetto out of county, like say go to Houston or some shithole like that. I'm going to be brief here because I want you to remember the scenes that I have in my head of going to, say, Weingarten's supermarket before it ever became a Safeway, and seeing widow women wearing, one of their best dresses they had had for 20 or 30 years. Kind of like my mom was not big on spending money on clothing. My mom could knock out a dress from raw fabric in an afternoon, from pattern to finished in an afternoon. You still have a little deck. And I remember going into Weingarten, say during the middle of the day, just getting something to, and there would be survivors, housewife survivors of hardworking men who worked their whole lives or worked their asses off in factories. That's what most men did. And there they would be, they'd be buying 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 cans of dog food, because you could get dog food for 24 cents, 29 cents. You get the meatiest, because dog foods are actually formulated for the human palate, not the dog. Dogs actually like nasty tasting stuff. And you would know that they had no dog and no cat to feed that dog food to. That dog food was for them because they were barely paying their water and sewer and their light bill and their property taxes. This is addressed to Governor Abbott. You need to do more about the cold-bloodedness in this Travis County and the entire state of Texas. You're moving towards it, but you need to step up your game. And there are times when I look at the rest of the world, how well they have done caring for their citizens, because trust me, nobody is guaranteed a perfect, healthy life. You think you are. It's because you play it safe and you really don't take any risks. You don't engage in any employment that isn't just safe as shit. You think it won't happen to you. Statistically, it's going to happen to somebody. And I'm mainly making this short video to remind you that I remember watching little old ladies knowing that everybody knew that they had no dog or no cat, having to buy dog food and nothing else. No sugar, no coffee, no flour, no oil, just cans of dog food. Nothing else in their basket when they had no dog and they had no cat. I remember. There are times that I am truly embarrassed to be an American, because for all our talk of faith and religion and stuff and being good people, things actually worked better when there was a poor farm in every county. People had a roof over their head and they had food, not dog food. I remember little old ladies eating dog food. America, you need to fucking grow up. And this bullshit, this move towards the far right called libertarianism, this new independent party that's really shaping up to be libertarian, needs to be squashed. Absolutely. Do not vote for them. Don't vote for anybody. That's what I'll make the call right here. They do it in other countries. It's called a vote of no confidence. I'm asking everybody in the next coming up elections. Of course, we know that the Democrats, the far left cultural Marxists, are going to show up and vote. Let them. You know, this country is going to have it. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it isn't in the pipeline and coming. This country is going to hit a really bad. They keep lying to you. No, we were actually in stagflation for a long time. We're pretty much there still right now. Our prices on everything that I buy are going up. And except for like here in Central Texas, the economy is pretty much stagnant everywhere. I don't really give a shit what they say on mainstream media. Like I believe them, like I even watch them anymore. I'm going to end it here at under 10 minutes. And I just want to tell all you young people that subscribe to my channel that I remember little old ladies embarrassed to be buying only dog food because that's all that they could fucking afford to eat.